The cold metal halls of the galactic palace echoed with silence. Every servant, soldier, and minister stood still as the royal guards marched down the corridor, carrying something, or rather someone. Inside a glowing silver capsule sat Princess Valeira of the Thal'Korin Empire, the most powerful alien race in the galaxy. Her skin shimmered pale blue under the crystal lights, and her long silver hair framed her round, soft face. But everyone whispered behind her back. She was called the obese princess. Not because of illness or greed, but because she had refused the warrior diet, the sacred training that every royal followed. She wanted peace, not war. She loved books, gardens, and music. But for her people, this was shameful. The emperor, her own father, could not tolerate it anymore. After she embarrassed him during a galactic council by defending humans, the weakest species in the galaxy, he made a cruel decision. Valeira would be given away. Not to another royal family. Not even to a warrior. But to a human janitor. The news spread across the galaxy like fire. Every star system mocked the emperor. Some said it was a punishment worse than death. A royal alien princess married to a human servant. Unthinkable. But far away on the mining planet of Orlan 9, the human janitor named Eli Ward had no idea what was coming. He was a quiet man, living alone in a dusty maintenance sector, fixing broken panels and cleaning air vents. His life was simple, lonely, and small. Until one morning, a royal shuttle landed right outside his cleaning bay. The sound of the landing shook the walls. Eli dropped his mop and stared as the ship doors opened. From the silver fog stepped guards in black armor, carrying the capsule. Inside he saw her for the first time. Glowing blue skin, gentle eyes, and a sadness that seemed endless. The guard's voice was cold. By order of the Thal'Korin Emperor, Princess Valeira is assigned to you. You will serve as her caretaker. Disobey and you die. Eli blinked, completely lost. Wait, what? I'm just a janitor. But the guards ignored him, dropped the capsule on the floor, and left. The ship took off, leaving only silence and confusion. As the capsule opened, warm mist filled the air. Valeira stepped out slowly, wearing a silver gown that shimmered like starlight. She looked around, clearly disgusted by the rusty walls and smell of oil. Her voice was soft but filled with pride. So this is my punishment. Eli stood there awkwardly, trying not to stare. A welcome to Orlan 9, your princessness. Her sharp eyes studied him. You are my janitor? He scratched his head. More like your roommate, I guess? She frowned, unamused. Humans. Always trying to make jokes in misery. But then something unexpected happened. Instead of crying or yelling, Valeira walked to the window and stared at the dark stars outside. There was pain in her eyes but also curiosity. Tell me, human, she said softly. Do your people ever forgive their rulers? Eli didn't know what to say. Sometimes. When they change. Valeira looked at him again, and for a brief moment, the coldness in her gaze melted. Days passed. Valeira tried to act like a queen even in that dirty station. She ordered Eli around, told him to clean, cook, and stay out of her way. But slowly, small things began to change. She started helping him fix panels. She asked questions about Earth. She laughed, just once, when Eli slipped on oil and landed in a bucket. That laughter changed something in the air. Eli began to see her differently. She wasn't just the obese alien princess. She was kind, curious, and incredibly lonely. And though she tried to hide it, she was scared. At night, he often heard her whisper to herself. I was not born to be cruel. I just wanted to love. Eli didn't know why, but those words stayed with him. He didn't realize it yet, but this strange punishment would soon turn into the most powerful connection between two worlds. Because in the darkness of Orlan 9, a janitor and a princess were about to rewrite the meaning of love across the stars. The days on Orlan 9 were long and quiet. The metal corridors hummed softly, and the stars outside blinked faintly through the dusty station windows. Eli Ward had lived in that silence for years, but now everything felt different. The station had a new sound, the soft footsteps of an alien princess. Valeira spent most of her time inside the small control room, staring at the endless space outside. She didn't talk much, but Eli could tell she was thinking deeply. Sometimes he caught her looking at the broken planet monitors, other times at the small potted plant on his desk, the only green life in the whole base. One morning, Eli found her sitting beside the plant, carefully touching its leaves. "It's so small," she said quietly. "Yet it's alive." "How?" Eli smiled. "It's called patience. You give it water, care, and light. It doesn't grow fast, but it grows." Valira looked at him with wonder, as if he had said something magical. "Patience," she whispered. "My people don't have that word. We only have power." For a moment, the proud princess looked almost fragile. Later that day, Eli was fixing a broken vent. He was standing on a shaky chair, wiping off dust, when the metal suddenly cracked. He slipped, and fell right onto a box of old cleaning rags. The noise was loud enough to shake the whole corridor. Valira rushed in, her silver gown flowing behind her. "What happened? Are you hurt?" Eli groaned and sat up, his face covered in dust. "Only my pride." Valira blinked. Then, for the first time since she had arrived, she laughed. A real, warm, unguarded laugh. It echoed beautifully in the metal room. Eli looked at her, surprised. "Wow. So the princess can laugh." Her cheeks glowed faintly blue. I didn't mean to." "Don't apologize," he said, smiling. "You just made this old place sound alive again." From that moment, something changed between them. Valira started joining him during his work. She learned to wipe panels, repair circuits, and even clean floors, though she still complained about the smell. Eli taught her small human things. How to make tea, how to whistle, and how to cook eggs without burning them. At first she called it nonsense. But soon she began enjoying it. When Eli caught her humming one of his Earth songs, she quickly stopped. "Do not tell anyone I sang that," she said sternly. He grinned. "Who would I tell?" "The dust." Her eyes softened. "You are strange, human. You treat me like a person." Eli tiakled. "That's because you are one." Valira didn't reply, but her lips curved slightly, the smallest hint of a smile. As days turned into weeks, Orlan, 9, started feeling less like a prison and more like a home. The princess, once cold and proud, now helped Eli grow vegetables in small metal trays. She even named one of the plants Hope. But not everything was peaceful. Late one night, a transmission flickered on the communication screen. The Emperor's face appeared, stern, gray-skinned, and cold as ice. "Valira," his voice thundered. "I see you are still alive." Valira stood tall, but Eli could sense her fear. "Yes, father. I serve my punishment as you ordered." The Emperor's eyes narrowed. "You were meant to suffer, not adapt. Do not forget who you are. You belong to the Empire, not to a human." The screen went black. Valira stood frozen for a moment, then quietly turned away. "He will never forgive me," she said. Eli placed a hand on her shoulder. "Then maybe it's time you forgive yourself." Her eyes glistened. "You speak as if forgiveness is simple." "It's not," Eli said softly. "But it's the start of freedom." That night, Valira couldn't sleep. She sat by the window, staring at the stars. The janitor's words echoed in her mind. "Forgive yourself." When Eli woke up the next morning, he found something on his workbench. A small drawing made on metal scrap. It showed 2 figures standing side by side. A human and an alien, looking up at the stars together. Below it, Valira had written a single word in human language. Friend. Eli smiled. Maybe, just maybe, this strange punishment was turning into something far more powerful. Something that could bridge 2 worlds. And for the first time, Princess Valira didn't feel like a prisoner anymore. The quiet days on Orlan, 9 began to feel almost peaceful. Eli and Princess Valira had fallen into a rhythm. Working, fixing, laughing, and even sharing stories. For a brief moment, they forgot the cruel reason they were brought together. But peace in the galaxy never lasted long. One evening, as the orange light of a nearby star shone through the station windows, Eli noticed something strange on the radar screen. A small ship was approaching, silent, no identification signal, moving fast. "Valira," he called. "You expecting anyone?" She walked over, frowning. "No. The Emperor said no one would contact me." The ship landed in the dust field near the station. The doors slid open with a hiss, and a tall figure stepped out, wearing the black armor of the Thal'Korin royal guard. His eyes were sharp and cold, his movements perfect, almost robotic. Valeira's face paled. That's Commander Drain. My father's shadow. Eli glanced at her. You mean spy? She nodded. Worse. He obeys only the Emperor. If he's here, he's watching us. Moments later, the metal door opened, and Drain entered without a word. His expression was unreadable. Princess Valeira, he said flatly. I am here to assess your condition. Valeira straightened her back, trying to hide her fear. Tell my father I am alive and obeying his will. Drain's cold gaze shifted to Eli. And this is your human? Eli tried to stay calm. Name's Eli Ward. Janitor, mechanic, part-time cook. The commander ignored the humor. The Emperor wishes to know if his punishment is effective. You were sent here to learn humility, not friendship. Valeira's eyes flashed. And who decides the meaning of humility, Drain? My father? You. The commander didn't answer. He placed a small device on the table, a glowing orb that pulsed with blue light. This recorder will monitor your behavior for the next cycle. If you are found disloyal, your connection to the human will be terminated. Eli frowned. Terminated? What's that supposed to mean? Drain looked at him with cold precision. Exactly what it sounds like. Then he turned and left, his steps echoing through the hallway like metal hammers. For a long time, neither of them spoke. The orb on the table blinked silently, watching. Eli finally sighed. Well, that's one creepy night light. Valeira almost smiled, but her voice trembled. Eli, you don't understand. Drain doesn't just report. He kills when ordered. If my father sees me showing kindness toward you, he'll end you. Eli looked at her with calm eyes. Then we'll just give him nothing to see. But that was easier said than done. The next few days were full of tension. The orb followed them everywhere, scanning their movements and recording every word. Valeira spoke less, afraid her emotions would betray her. Eli tried to act normal, but he missed their laughter, her quiet jokes, her curiosity. One night, Eli sat in the workshop fixing a damaged circuit. Valeira entered silently, holding a small object, a folded piece of metal shaped like a heart. She placed it on the table. I made this for you, but if the orb sees, it will call it treason. Eli smiled softly. Then we'll keep it a secret. He took a wrench and tapped a code on the metal wall. 3 soft knocks, 3 hard ones. Valeira tilted her head. What is that? Old Earth code, he said. It means I'm here. If we can't speak, we can still talk like this. For the first time since Drain's arrival, Valeira smiled. Your kind always finds light in darkness. But Drain was no fool. He began to suspect something. Late at night, he sneaked through the corridors, watching them through his scanner. He saw the princess and the human working side by side. Their movements too gentle. Their silence too full of meaning. When Valeira tripped on a tool and Eli caught her before she fell, Drain's cold eyes narrowed. Affection, he whispered. The next morning, Drain confronted Valeira. You forget your place. The Emperor will not tolerate weakness. Do you think this human loves you? Valeira's voice was calm but strong. He does not serve me. He respects me. Something you will never understand. Drain raised his weapon, his tone sharp. You speak like a traitor. But Eli stepped forward fearless. Then shoot me, not her. For a second, Drain hesitated. No one, no human, had ever spoken to him like that. Valeira moved between them. If you kill him, you'll prove the Emperor's cruelty to the stars. Drain's eyes flickered with anger. But then he turned away. This is not over, he said coldly. The Emperor will hear everything. When he left, Valeira collapsed into a chair, breathing hard. Eli knelt beside her. You okay? She nodded weakly. Eli, I think my father just declared war on my heart. Eli looked out the window into the endless night of space. Then we'll fight back, not with weapons but with what he fears most. Valeira looked up at him. And what is that? Eli smiled. Love. After Commander Drain's visit, Orlan, 9 no longer felt safe. Every shadow seemed to hide a listening ear. Every flicker of light from the ceiling felt like an eye watching them. The glowing blue orb still floated in the corner, silently recording everything, every sound, every glance, every heartbeat. Princess Valira barely slept. Each time she closed her eyes, she saw her father's cold face. The face of an emperor who ruled with fear, not love. Elinoti said. He'd often find her sitting by the window at dawn, her silver hair glimmering softly against the first light of a nearby star. "You're thinking again," he said one morning, handing her a steaming cup of tea. Valira accepted it carefully. "I'm thinking of what my father truly fears." Eli smiled faintly. "Let me guess, rebellion?" Valira shook her head. "Truth. He hides behind power, but he fears truth the most. If the galaxy saw what he does to his own daughter, his empire would tremble." Eli leaned closer. "Then maybe it's time we show them." Her eyes widened slightly. "You mean send a signal?" He nodded. "We can use the old transmission array in the mining sector. It still connects to the outer relay net. I can patch it through." Valira hesitated. "That's forbidden. Drain would detect it instantly." Eli's grin returned. "Only if we let him." For the first time, hope flickered in her heart, fragile but real. That night, while Drain was away inspecting the mining tunnels, they acted. Eli led Valira through the dim corridors to the old communication room, its panels covered in dust and rust. "This place hasn't been used in years," Eli whispered. Valira touched the console gently. "Then it's time to wake it up." Together, they cleaned the controls, powered the core, and rerouted the circuits. The console glowed to life, humming softly. On the screen appeared the words, "Transmission ready." Valira took a deep breath. "If we do this, there's no turning back." Eli looked at her firmly. "Then we go forward." She nodded. Her hands trembled as she activated the mic. Her voice, soft yet strong, filled the room. "To anyone who can hear this beyond the Thal'Korin Empire, this is Princess Valira, daughter of the Emperor. I was exiled to live with a human as punishment. Not for betrayal, but for compassion. My father wishes to erase kindness from our hearts. But I tell you this, the smallest act of love can outshine an entire empire of cruelty." Eli's eyes filled with pride. Valira continued, her tone rising. "Humans are not weak. They are not slaves. They are proof that even in the darkest corners of the galaxy, the light of empathy survives. If you hear my voice, know this, the age of fear must end." She ended the broadcast, her hand shaking. "It's done." Eli grinned. "Then let's hope someone out there was listening." But their victory didn't last long. The blue orb suddenly flared with light, spinning faster, pulsing red. Alarms echoed through the station. Drain's voice roared through the speakers. "Unauthorized transmission detected. You have broken Imperial law." Valira gasped. "He knows. Run." Eli shouted. They sprinted down the corridor, the floor trembling as Drain's shuttle landed outside. He stormed in, weapon drawn, his eyes burning with fury. "You dare broadcast rebellion?" he snarled. Valira stepped in front of Eli. "If speaking truth is rebellion, then I am guilty." Drain aimed his blaster. "The Emperor will erase you both." Eli stood beside her, defiant. "You'll have to go through me first." Before Drain could fire, the station lights flickered. The main screen on the wall suddenly came alive, showing thousands of incoming signals. Valira stared in shock. "They heard us." Across the galaxy, messages flooded in, from humans, traders, and even Thal'Korin citizens. Voices of hope, anger, and courage. Some called her brave. Some called her queen. Drain froze, staring at the screen. Impossible. The signal spread to the entire sector. Valira's voice was calm but powerful. "You can't silence the truth anymore." Enraged, Drain smashed his communicator. "The Emperor will not rest until you are destroyed." He stormed out, his ship engines roaring to life. Valira and Eli watched through the window as it disappeared into the stars. Eli exhaled slowly. "He's going to tell your father everything." Valira turned toward him, her blue eyes glowing softly. "Then we have no choice. We can't stay here anymore." Eli nodded. "You mean run?" "Not run," she said. "Escape. To find those who hurt us. To build something new." Eli smiled. "Then let's do it, Your Highness." Valira's lips curved into a faint smile. No more titles, Eli. Just Valira. He nodded. Then it's Eli and Valira, against the galaxy. As their small ship detached from the station, the stars stretched before them like a sea of light. Behind them, Orlan, 9 faded into silence, but their message had already begun to spread across the universe. The janitor and the princess were no longer prisoners. They were fugitives of love and truth. And their story was just beginning. The small shuttle streaked through space like a silver arrow, leaving Orlan, 9 far behind. For hours, neither Valira nor Eli spoke. The stars glimmered around them, cold, endless, and free. Finally, Valira broke the silence. He'll send hunters, she said softly, watching the stars blur by. My father never lets go of those who defy him. Eli checked the ship's controls. Then we'll just have to stay one jump ahead. Valira looked at him. The human janitor who now piloted a royal ship. You act as if you've done this before. He smirked. I used to escape supervisors with broken cleaning bots. This isn't so different, just bigger stakes and prettier company. Valira rolled her eyes, but couldn't hide a small smile. For 2 days, they traveled through uncharted space. Valira learned how to use the ship's scanners, while Eli repaired damaged thrusters and managed to tune the navigation manually. They worked like a team, silent but in rhythm. Yet in the quiet moments, Valira's thoughts returned to her father. She remembered how proud he once was when she was a child, before politics, before expectations. Somewhere, deep down, she still hoped there was a part of him that could forgive. But forgiveness seemed far away now, because far behind them, in the glowing throne room of the Thal'Korin Empire, the Emperor stood before a giant hologram of Drain. She has escaped, Drain said coldly. The human aided her. They sent a transmission that reached 7 star systems before I could jam it. The Emperor's face darkened, his voice low with fury. Then the galaxy must learn what happens to traitors. Send the hunters of the core. Bring me my daughter, alive. Bring the human broken. 2 days later, the hunters found their trail. It began with a faint warning sound on the ship's console. A red light blinked. Enemy radar lock. Eli's face hardened. We've been found. Valira looked out the viewport. 3 black ships appeared behind them, shaped like blades moving fast. They're Thal'Korin interceptors, she whispered. They won't stop until we're ashes. Eli pulled the throttle. Then let's make them earn it. The ship roared through an asteroid field, chunks of rock spinning past like giant knives. Laser fire streaked across space, lighting up the darkness. Valira gripped the seat, trying to keep her balance. Eli, she shouted. They're too fast. He grinned. Not faster than me. He spun the shuttle sharply, dodging a blast that grazed their tail. The ship shook, sparks flying. Valira's hands flew across the control panel, rerouting power to the shields. I've stabilized the energy grid. Keep flying. You got it, princess. Don't call me that right now, she yelled. Another explosion rattled the hull. One of the interceptors clipped an asteroid and exploded in a flash of fire. The shockwave sent their shuttle tumbling, alarms screaming. Eli fought the controls. We're hit. We need to land. Valira scanned the map. There's a moon ahead, atmosphere thin but breathable. Eli nodded. Then that's where we make our stand. They crashed through the thin atmosphere, the ship scraping across rocky terrain before sliding to a stop. Smoke rose from the hull. Eli coughed, pulling himself up. Still alive. Valira nodded, brushing dust from her gown. Barely. But one hunter remains. They stepped outside, the cold wind whipping through the barren landscape. Above them, the last interceptor descended slowly, landing a few hundred meters away. From it emerged a tall figure in black armor. Not Drain, but one of his finest assassins. The hunter's voice came through a metallic mask. By royal decree, surrender the princess and the human dies quickly. Eli stood in front of Valira defiant. You'll have to go through me first. The hunter raised his blaster, but Valira stepped forward. No, through us. She raised her hands, blue light sparking from her palms. The air trembled, raw Thal'Korin energy pulsed through her veins. She had never used it before, but now something inside her awakened. A wave of blue force shot forward, knocking the hunter back. His armor sparked, his mask cracked. Impossible, he hissed. You were never trained. Valira's voice was calm and fierce. I don't need training to protect what I love. The hunter lunged forward, firing wildly. Eli dodged, throwing a metal rod that hit the blaster out of the hunter's hand. Together, they fought. Valira's glowing energy bursts lighting up the night. Eli striking fast with tools and raw courage. Finally, Valira unleashed one last surge of power. The hunter was thrown against a rock, his armor smoking. He fell silent. Breathing hard, Eli turned to her. You just saved both of us. Valira's eyes glowed faintly. No, we saved each other. For a moment, the barren moon was quiet again. The stars above shimmered like silent witnesses. Eli looked up. We can't stay here. More will come. Valira nodded. Then we keep moving. Somewhere out there, people heard our signal. We just have to find them. Eli smiled. Then let's go find your new kingdom, one built on truth. She looked at him with warmth and determination. No, Eli. Not my kingdom. Our future. Asterisk. They boarded the damaged ship once more, engines sputtering to life. As they lifted off, Valira took one last look at the moon. The place where she had chosen courage over fear. And far away, in the Emperor's palace, Drain knelt before his master. They escaped again, he said bitterly. The Emperor's voice was like thunder. Then we make the galaxy their cage. The stars around them were brighter now. Not because the universe had changed, but because Eli and Valira were no longer running away from something. They were running toward something, hope. The ship limped through deep space, half broken from the last fight. Sparks still flickered from the control panel, and the air smelled faintly of burned metal. Eli wiped his forehead. Engines are holding for now, he muttered. But we need repairs and fuel. Valira scanned the map. There's a free world near this sector, Nerith 3. It's not under the Empire's rule. Traders, smugglers, refugees, people who don't ask questions. Eli Krined. My kind of place. She gave a small smile. Ours too, it seems. When they landed, Nerith 3 looked like a world out of forgotten dreams. Floating cities built from metal scraps, glowing lights hanging in misty air, and thousands of species walking together in the crowded markets. The air was thick with the smell of oil and spices, and the sky glowed orange with 2 suns. As they stepped out of the ship, curious eyes turned toward them. Aliens of all kinds whispered and stared. A human and a Thal'Korin princess, a rare sight indeed. Valira lowered her hood. Stay close, she said softly. We don't know who's friend or foe. Eli tiakled. Don't worry. I've got experience blending in with messy crowds. They moved through the market, trading one of the ship's energy cells for food and repair supplies. Eli's easy smile and gentle tone earned him quick deals, while Valira's regal presence made others too nervous to argue. But in the corner of a quiet tavern, a group of eyes watched them closely. One of them, a tall reptilian alien with scars across his jaw, stood and approached. You are the ones from the broadcast, he said in a low voice. The princess who defied her father. Valira tensed. Who are you? The stranger smiled. A friend, or maybe something more. Name's Cray. I was Thal'Korin once, before I escaped their war camps. Eli glanced at Valira. Can we trust him? Cray leaned closer. You don't have to, but if you want to survive, you'll follow me. There are others who heard your message. Others who want to fight. They followed Cray through the lower decks of the city, through tunnels glowing with green lights and the hum of hidden engines. Finally, they reached a large metal door. Cray knocked 3 times. It slid open with a hiss. Inside, a group of aliens and humans stood around a holographic map. Some wore old armor, others simple clothes, but their eyes all shared one thing, defiance. A young woman with bronze skin stepped forward. I'm Captain Mara. I lead the Free Sectors Alliance. You're Valira, aren't you? Valira nodded slowly. Yes, I am. Mara smiled. Your signal reached us. The Empire thought it ruled the stars, but your words reminded people that even an emperor can bleed. Eli looked amazed. So there's really a resistance? Cray chuckled. Not just a resistance, human. A movement. Valira's heart pounded. For the first time, she felt something new, belonging. Mara pointed to the hologram. We've been planning a strike on the Empire's relay network. If we destroy it, the Emperor loses control of half his systems. But we need someone who knows royal codes, and that's you. Valira hesitated. If I help, he'll know it was me. Eli looked at her gently. Maybe that's the point. To show him you're not afraid anymore. Valira met his eyes, the same eyes that had once looked at her with only curiosity, now filled with something deeper. She turned to Mara. Then let's do it. The next few days passed in a blur of preparation. Valira worked with Mara and Cray to decode Thal'Korin encryption. Eli helped repair ships and train others to handle human tech. Slowly, aliens and humans began to work side by side, sharing food, laughter, and stories. For the first time, Valira saw her dream take shape. A world where species didn't rule or kneel, but stood together. One night, as they stood on the balcony overlooking the glowing city, Eli said softly, "You know, Valira, you were right about patience. It grows slow, but it grows." She smiled faintly. "And you were right about love. It changes everything." Eli looked at her, the wind blowing through his hair. "If we survive this, what then?" Valira's eyes glowed softly in the starlight. "Then we build something better, together." Before Eli could reply, alarms blared through the base. Red lights flashed. Mara's voice shouted from the hall. "They found us. Imperial ships incoming." Eli and Valira exchanged one look, not of fear, but of readiness. Valira raised her chin. "Then we fight. Not to escape this time, but to protect what we've built." Eli grabbed his tool belt and grinned. "Guess the janitor's back on duty." The floor trembled as explosions echoed outside. Through the windows, the shadow of massive Thal'Korin warships loomed in the burning sky. Valira's voice was calm, steady, full of resolve. "Let them come." The sky above Nereth, 3 burned with blue fire. Dozens of Thal'Korin warships descended like steel beasts, their engines roaring as energy blasts rained across the city. The ground shook with each explosion. Dust and light filled the air. War had arrived. Inside the underground base, alarms blared red. Mara shouted orders. "All units, defensive positions. Evacuate the civilians through the lower tunnels." Eli tightened his grip on a plasma wrench, his face covered in grease and determination. "If those engines hit the power cores, this whole place goes up." Valira stood beside him, wearing armor for the first time. Light silver plates lined with blue energy veins, her royal crest torn away. She was no longer a princess of the throne. She was a leader of the people. "Eli," she said softly, "if we don't make it out." He cut her off with a shake of his head. "No, we're not doing that. You're making it out. Both of us are." She smiled faintly. "You always did believe in impossible things." "Someone has to," he said with a grin. The first wave hit fast. Imperial drones smashed through the gates, firing plasma bolts. Cray led the front line, roaring as he tore one apart with a stolen cannon. Mara's soldiers fired from behind makeshift barricades. Eli jumped into action, rerouting power from damaged generators to the shield grid. Sparks flew as he worked. "Shields at 70%, he shouted. Valira raised her hand, focusing her energy. Blue light pulsed from her palms, spreading across the walls like a living force field. "Then I'll keep it there," she said through clenched teeth. The floor trembled as another explosion hit. One wall cracked open, and through the smoke stepped a towering figure, armored in black, his face hidden behind a sharp silver mask. The Emperor himself. "Valira," his voice boomed deep and cold. "You disgrace your bloodline. You side with the weak." Valira's heart raced. "No, father. I side with the free." The Emperor raised his hand. A surge of dark energy burst forward, shattering the shields. Eli dove and pulled Valira behind a pillar as lightning exploded across the chamber. "Run," Eli shouted. "Get to the command room." Valira refused. "Not without you." He gave her a look, one that said everything words could not. "Go. I'll hold the systems." She ran toward the command center, every hallway shaking. She could hear Eli behind her, fighting to keep the reactors stable. When she reached the control room, Mara was already there, wounded but standing. The Empire's fleet is in range, Mara said. If we overload the energy core, it'll take out their ships, but the blast will destroy the base. Valira stared at the screen. That's suicide. Mara nodded grimly. Freedom usually is. Valira clenched her fists. Not today. I'll buy us time. She activated the main comms and spoke into the microphone. Her voice echoed across every ship and every screen in orbit. This is Princess Valira of Thal'Korin. To those who still serve the Emperor, open your eyes. You fight for a ruler who fears love and mercy. I was punished for caring. I was exiled for believing that even humans deserve life. If that is treason, then I am proud to be a traitor. Across the fleets, Thal'Korin soldiers paused. Some lowered their weapons. Others stared in silence. The Emperor's control was cracking. But in the depths of the base, Eli's voice came through the calm. Valira. The reactor's overheating. You've got 60 seconds. She turned toward the hall and ran back, ignoring the fire and smoke. When she reached the core chamber, Eli was there, his clothes torn, hands burned, still working. You idiot, she cried. You should have left. He smiled weakly. Couldn't leave the mess I made. Valira dropped beside him, helping him reroute the final circuit. The reactor's glow turned white-hot. The timer on the console blinked. 10 seconds. She looked at him. Eli. He met her eyes. If we make it through this, remind me to actually ask you for a dance. Valira laughed through tears. You never stop joking. It's how I stay brave, he whispered. The light grew blinding. Valira reached out and grabbed his hand. Together they pressed the final sequence. Boom. The explosion was silent. A brilliant wave of blue energy that swept through space, tearing through the Emperor's fleet. Ships vanished in bursts of light. The blast rippled across the sky, then faded into calm. Days later, the smoke cleared. The free sectors stood, damaged but alive. The Emperor's ship was gone. In the heart of the ruins, rescue teams found Eli and Valira among the wreckage, still holding hands, barely breathing. Against all odds, they had survived. Months passed. The war ended. The Thal'Korin Empire collapsed. A new council was formed, one of humans and aliens alike. Valira became their voice, standing tall before crowds who once feared her. And beside her always was Eli. No longer just a janitor, but a symbol of the love that changed galaxies. As they looked out from the balcony of the rebuilt city, stars shimmered above. Valira whispered, "Do you think the universe remembers what we did?" Eli smiled. Maybe. But even if it doesn't, I'll remember. She leaned against him, peaceful for the first time. And in that quiet moment, two souls, one human, one alien, proved that love could rewrite the stars themselves.